1, 2, 3.
What's up, YouTube?
Okay, go ahead. Back at it in Athens, Ohio with a bespoke electronic instrument. Sideways. This is a video version of a manual because I didn't make a manual, but I might also make a manual. This is an instrument that does a few different things. It is sort of like a Casio keyboard in that it makes lo-fi, cute, and easy sounds, but it's also like a Casio keyboard in that it has some like other weird features, which Casio keyboards often have. Did I ever show you that Casio keyboard I have that has a calculator built in?
No.
There's one that has a calculator built in.
That's pretty great.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. It runs off of like USB power, so just like a phone charger kind of thing. Right now, I'm running it off of this like power bank. I'll give you like a wall plug though, but makes it real easy to power it. There's a little power switch back there. Welcome. Focus. Okay, so tour of all of the things on it. In the back, what we have over here is audio output. There's two jacks because it was going to be stereo, but they're actually the same. So these are both the same output. No difference. It's got a built-in speaker. This is an audio input, and we'll get to that in a minute. And on the side here, there's MIDI input, MIDI output. So if you like hate playing with this like keyboard, you could plug in like a normal keyboard, like to the MIDI input. Or if you love the keyboard, you could control another instrument through the MIDI output. And this one turns the internal speaker off and on. And then on the front here, this is like a little navigation screen. This tells us where we are. And the most important thing at the bottom is just a piano keyboard. And these are the black keys. They're white, but they're still the black keys. This is the octave switch. So on the left of the screen, there's focus. There's these numbers. And if I press the key, we can go down octaves or up octaves. You know what octaves are. So that's what these are. Down, up. Besides that, there's like 3 other zones. We'll look at this middle zone first. This is the like program zone. There's like 4 different programs at the synthesizer thing you can do. And this is how you switch between them. So the first one is a rompler. It's like a sampler, but read-only memory. That's like how Casios work. Is they just have like samples in memory that you play back. And so this one, if I play the keys, sounds like a piano. And there's just like a bunch of modes here that you can switch between different sounds. You know how it goes. And there's 30 of them. 30 little sounds to goof around with. And so I guess let's look at these knobs. These knobs will like modify that sound in some way. So this little zone right here is the filter zone. And the filter we have on this keyboard, focus, has several modes. It's based off of the Oberheim SEM filter, like this old synthesizer. And so it has low pass mode and high pass mode, and you can continuously fade between the 2 of them. And so you'll get something that's like half low pass, half high pass in the middle, which ends up giving you a notch at the cutoff frequency. But you can just kind of mess around with it, see what it sounds like. And then if you go all the way to the right, that'll be a band pass filter. I don't know if you know like filters or like synthesis stuff, but if not, you can like look it up or like message me or something.
Or read a book.
But that's like the filter type. Then there's like cutoff and resonance. And so, could you hold this for a second, Juno? And like, and so, you know, filter vibes. If we do the low pass, we can cut out the highest. And add resonance. At the cutoff point, you have to be kind of careful with the resonance. If you turn it way up, sometimes it'll distort. Especially on the internal speaker. The internal speaker will like distort pretty easily. But it's okay, it won't break, it'll just sound crazy. And then we have 4 knobs here that are poorly labeled, A, B, C, D. But these control various aspects of the sound. So A and B control the attack and release of a note. So if I turn up the attack time, the note will fade in. Instead of just hitting, it'll fade in. You can kind of turn the piano into like a soft pad kind of thing. And then this one is the release, so it's like fade out. So if I hit the note and it's all the way down, it'll cut off. If it's up, it'll sustain. You can get that like pedal like auto sound. And then the next 2 knobs are what is it? Oh, those are filter modulation knobs. So let's say we've like set our filter right here. Nice low pass filter. These control a low frequency oscillator, an LFO, that modulates the cutoff of that filter. And so this one on the left controls the speed of that filter, or the speed of that LFO, and this one controls how much the LFO affects it. And so if I turn the speed up a little bit, we're not going to hear anything because we have to turn the effect up. Now you can hear it's sweeping up and down, up and down. If I turn this crazy distorted note, it's going to sweep way up and way down, and this will do it faster. You can get it going really fast and get like these like watery sounds. I really like. Oh yeah. So that's what those do. In all of the modes, these knobs do the same thing. All 4 of these modes. We've only looked at the first one, but these knobs are all the same. These knobs are kind of special over here. We'll get to those in a minute. So that was Rompler mode. This has got our nice built-in sounds. Really easy to use. We're going to go to mode number 3, and then go back to 2.
Okay.
Number 3 is an additive synthesizer. And again, I don't know how much you know about like synthesizers, but the basic concept of additive synthesis is it's like old church organs where you have like a bunch of different pipes, and one will play like the fundamental, one will play the octave up, one will play like an octave and a fifth up. Those are like the harmonics of a sound. It's like integer multiples of whatever that fundamental frequency are. And so what we have here is an additive synthesizer with 8 harmonics. And so if we just play one note, it's going to be a sine wave. And with this little display here, if you like, are you close? It's getting close. If you like put the cursor over each little dot here, you can turn up each harmonic and it will change the waveform. And now we have this beautiful full organ sound. But if you like tune these and like mess around with like which ones are loud, which ones are quiet, you can get like different kinds of sounds. You can get like a square wave if you like did every other one. There's a lot of things you can do. But also here, you can save up to 50 different little presets. So once you've done this, if you like hold down the knob, it will just save all of your presets. And so now if we turn it off and back on, this will stay the same. And I guess I'll just leave this one for you. Fun little starting sound. Oh, and one more thing you can do in this mode with the knobs here. All these knobs do the same thing. But this knob, which is labeled scrub, is actually a detune knob in this mode. So if I turn it up, you get this warbly sound. It sounds really good with like a single sine wave. So single sine wave, no detune. Nice warbling. Beautiful. So that's that. I guess while we're here, this is a good time to demonstrate these 3 buttons. These 3 buttons are the MIDI looper mode. So this one records. So what happens is if you press this one, it will remember what buttons you press and what time you press them at, and you can loop that. So if I press it once, and then I play a melody, and then press it again. We'll play it back. Oh yeah. And then if you want to pause it, this one pauses it. You can start it back up. This bottom one will clear it, so it'll just stop everything that's happening. But let's get a little melody again. But once you've got a melody, you can also overdub, so we can press it again and play some other notes on top. And then in this rompler mode, you can it'll remember which sound you played it with. So we could record a little piano thing, and then we can stick a steel drum on top. Oh yeah. So that's these three. It is record, play, pause, and stop. Wow, there's a lot of things. We've already been like 10 minutes. Okay. Next, what we got is sampler mode. So sampler mode is a way to load new samples into this device. So there's two ways you can do this. If you zoom in close right there, focus. You can see it says mic. So that means it's going to record sounds from this little microphone right here. And so if you talk into this mic, you can record yourself. If you get way close to it, it will distort. Just warning. Zoom out over here. This button right here will switch to line mode. Back over here. It says line. And that means that we're going to record sounds through this jack in the back, the line input. And so let's do that. We got a dang little song loaded up over here. All right, go ahead and play. And so now, you can play that across the keyboard. You could like plug in a guitar, play a note. You could, remix your own song. But it goes very deep. Mm-hmm. And so now that we have the sample loaded in, this scrub knob and this length knob control which part of that sample we're going to play. And so right now we recorded it starting at this position. So we're like ba ba ba. But if we go to the right, we can start halfway through that. And this will control how much of the sample you play, starting from that point. So we can play just a little bit. Oh yeah, so this was the record button. That's how you record. It's by pressing that button. You press it once to start recording, and then again to stop recording. And you can record up to 4 seconds of audio. Nothing beyond that. And it does start recording at the point in that 4 seconds where this knob is. So if we turn it like halfway up like I just had, you can only record 2 seconds. But that gets us to a fun thing where if we press this and go back to microphone mode, I mean this works in line and microphone mode, we can record a sound. So maybe I'll like sing into it or something. Cool. It worked. But what you can do is you can overdub onto that recording. And so we can sort of choose what part of the sound we want to record. So in my case, what I want to do is I want to add like a little blippy sound at the beginning. So I'm going to record at the beginning for a short amount of time. And we can sort of preview how much we'd record. And so what I can do now is I can record over that and I can make like a little sound. I'll go like... And so now, if I play the whole sample again, we've added like a little funky attack sound. And what that did is it replaced anything that was recorded there in that first little quarter second or whatever with the new sound. If you wanted to overlay instead, you can use this PS button, which is sort of like an overdub button, and it will just record on top of it without erasing what was there before. And so, let's see. Ba. Let's add a harmony. Ba. So I'll record on top of that. Now we have. I think I pressed the wrong button. I didn't overdub. I pressed the record button.
Okay.
But we can pretend I pressed the overdub button,
Okay.
and then we would have heard both notes.
Okay.
And so once you've recorded your awesome sound, there's again 50 sounds you can save. So just choose where you want to save it. And if you press in the little knob, you go to this menu on the right, we have 4 options. We can load the sound that was in there. And so this is one I recorded yesterday. It takes a second to load it. But that sort of elegantly does what I was just trying to do. If you record a sound, you could store it at that point. You can erase the sound, and every sound gets a name. It gets a randomly generated word. And so this one was called Eon. If you don't like the name, you can press the name button and it will generate a new word, such as optional or Terry or jargon. And so that way you can remember which sample's which. And yeah, you can see this one's empty. All these ones are empty. They'll say they're empty if they're empty. But once you record a new sample in there, it'll get a name. Okay, so that's sampler mode. Wow. 16 minutes. This is crazy. I understand why they make actual manuals now. So chopper mode number 4, is very similar to sample mode. It uses the same samples, so if you record something in sampler mode, you can use it in chopper mode, but you just play it back differently. And so in sampler mode, you can play around on the keyboard and it will change the pitch of the sound. But in chopper mode, it'll always play at the same pitch that you recorded it at. But these keys represent different parts of the sample. So you can imagine this is like a timeline from 0 seconds up to 4 seconds. And every one of these keys is a little increment along that timeline. And so when you press one of these keys, it will play that part of the sample. So I can play the beginning of my sample, I can play the end where I have modal harmony, play somewhere in the middle. This is useful for like chopping up sounds. You could like load a drum break in here. I was messing with like an amen break. You can just like sort of finger drum your own drum break. Useful for like things where the sound is changing over time, like speech or sampling a song or something. Very fun. Okay, wait, we're almost done. Almost done. Okay, so that was the scrub knob and the length knob that relate to the sampling mode. The only thing we haven't looked at yet is the speed knob. And so if we go back to this mode, turn that knob, nothing happens. We have to enable that knob. This right here, F, is free pitch mode. And so I guess let's go back over here. You can see on the screen there's a little music note. If I press the F button, that music focus, that music note will turn into, it says HC, like hertz. And what that means is that now instead of locking into certain pitches, this knob will control the pitch of everything. So I guess let me record a little melody to, this will make more sense with that. Let's get a glockenspiel. Kind of random. But if I enable free pitch mode, this knob now controls the pitch. It's sort of like you slow down a cassette tape or something. So, fun for wacky effects. It also works in sampler mode. Freak it, as they say. So that's speed, enabled by the free pitch mode. And there's one button. There's one button that we haven't looked at yet. And that is not this button, but it is this button right here. So this pertains to every mode. And this is the sample looping mode. And so with this glockenspiel, we have, if you press it, it plays our glockenspiel sample once, and then just doesn't do anything after that. You call that like a one shot. If you press this, it goes into looping mode, where the glockenspiel plays again once it gets to the end. And so there's some uses for this. You can just make sort of fun loopy soundscapes with this. Some of these sounds are like sustained sounds. So like this string sound. If we don't have looping mode enabled, I guess we can actually play that for a while. Oh, sorry, we're in. Oh, sorry, we do have it enabled. If we don't have it enabled, it will just play for like a second, and even though we're holding down, it doesn't play anymore. If we enable looping mode, it'll get to the end, and now we have this beautiful looping string sound that goes on forever. Also useful if you're like you have to sample in a drum break and you want it to just like keep looping it right over. Oh wait, kind of beautiful. I think that is everything on here. Oh, I guess in chopper mode, you do have to be in the middle octave, so octave 0. If we go up, we can't grab those sounds. That's the only weird thing about that mode, I think. Yeah, I think that's all the features of this electronic instrument that is now yours. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Send me music you make with it, or questions if you have any. Bye, YouTube. Remember to hit that bell.